It is the #1 seed, Pete Sampras, against the Australian Mark Philippoussis, 4th round. Well, 1996, translation, Pete Sampras hasn't won a Grand Slam title yet this year, and if he doesn't, it will be the first time since 1993. 1996 has been a challenge for him, both physically and emotionally.
The only thing that can improve my career is winning majors. You know, I've been #1 for quite a while, and the only thing that can make it better is winning major tournaments.
For the top player in the world, being the best on the computer doesn't equal being the best on the court.
It's so much more important winning majors than the ranking. I mean, I can't say that enough. I mean, I'd give up, you know, all the weeks I've been #1 for an extra major tournament. I mean, I'd trade that without question.
Since he took the 1990 U.S. Open, winning a major has never seemed too difficult for Sampras, but it's been a year since his last major victory. And Pete may not hit a Grand Slam for the first time in 5 years. That makes defending this year's championship imperative.
This is my last opportunity to win a major, and I put so much emphasis and pressure on myself to win here.
If you don't win here, is the year a wash?
Well, it's going to be a disappointment.
But Pete's greatest disappointment this past year was more personal than professional. His former coach, mentor, and friend, Tim Gullickson, passed away after a long battle with brain cancer.
Tim was my best buddy. We shared a lot of great memories on the court and off the court. I mean, he was a good friend. I've told him things I never told anyone. I mean, he was someone that I admired, and just to see what he went through with all the radiation and him, you know, passing away, and the finality of not be able to see or speak to him again, I still can't believe it to this day that he's gone.
Despite the loss of Gullickson just before the French Open, Sampras gathered himself and played with guts and grace on his most challenging surface. His semifinal appearance was his best ever at Roland Garros.
I wanted so much to win it for Tim, I just ran out of gas.
But don't expect Pete to run out of gas here in New York.
I feel like I always played pretty well here. It's on hardcore, the surface I've played on. New York fans are really into the tennis.
Sampras seeks his 4th Open of the 90s, and 2 of his victories have come against his rival, Andre Agassi.
When I walk out on the court against Andre, it's a little bit different. It brings a lot of interest that people don't really follow the game will follow the game.
There's always interest in Sampras' game, especially when he's playing his best on the stadium. But Pete believes his game could be even better.
I wish I could return like Agassi and have the speed like Chang. But I'd keep my serve.
If he's going to take another step into the history books, he'll have to get by Mark Philippoussis tonight here on USA. That's next. Stay with us. And there they are, Mark Philippoussis and Pete Sampras onto the stadium court in front of a crowd anticipating a terrific match. Here's a bit of history for you. 1987, the United States Tennis Association's Boys 18 rankings. David Wheaton was #1. He's now 131st. Jim Courier was 2, now 10. Michael Chang still in the tournament. He was ranked 3 then. He still is #3 in the world. Malavia Washington was ranked 4th. He came into the tournament ranked 12th. Jonathan Stark was #5. He's now fallen to 101. Pete Sampras, obviously who you'll see tonight, was ranked 6th back then in the 18s. He's now the #1 player in the world. And Todd Martin was ranked 18th in the boys 18s. Came into this tournament as the #13 ranked player in the world. Right now, let's go out to Ted Robinson and John McEnroe.
All right, John, thanks very much. You know, John, when you're a kid, you remember the game, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. One of my
yes, I do.
You know,
Yeah.
2 guys that stood there with the big tough jaws and socked each other. That could be what we're going to have here tonight. 2 guys slugging it out there.
Everyone's been waiting for this match, including myself. I mean, this is it. The #1 ranked Pete Sampras, the future #1, perhaps Mark Philippoussis, serving these rockets. Who's going to handle the situation better? This ain't Australia, where Mark Philippoussis won, and they're the one win he's had in 3 meetings. We're back here in the United States of America. We take a look at the youngster Mark Philippoussis here, only 19 years old. He's come a long way in a short period of time. It was a year ago here that he lost to Sampras in the 3rd round. He's got more weapons. He's got Peter McNamara working with him. I think that's a good decision. This is only in the last month. Help him work on his slice backhand, just mixing things up a little bit. And this guy's going to be one of the great players in tennis, no doubt.
I think that's a good question tonight to ask about Philippoussis. Everyone who knows about this young man knows about the incredible serve. But if that serve for some reason isn't working, does he have a game to play without that big person?
He's got a good game. He's a good athlete. I mentioned he's 6'4". He's got a big forehand. He's a pretty good volley. A little bit suspect in the movement, but that's what happens when you're a young kid and you grow fast. Sampras says the same thing. He says his whole game relies on his serve. I mean, the guy's only 6'1", but he's won 7 major titles later. You can see that the serve is the key to men's tennis. So obviously, if Pete Sampras can serve, you ready for this? 75%. At Wimbledon, he served against Philippoussis. Philippoussis served 67%. He served 67% when he beat him in Australia, but Pete picked it up big time as we take a look at Pete here. This guy's been around a long time for someone who's only 25 years old now.
I think you hit on something else, John, that was crucial at the very beginning. Pete Sampras has played an awful lot of matches on this court under the lights with all the glare, and I don't believe Sampras has ever lost a match.
Never lost a night.
And that's a big thing, how Philippoussis will handle it against a guy who you know can handle it.
Well, you know, the difference is, as you point out, Pete's been here a lot more, but as we've heard from Pete, he's put a lot of pressure on himself. He hasn't won a major this year. This is it for him. If he doesn't win this match in this tournament, he's not going to be ranked #1. Now, Philippoussis obviously is starting to put more pressure on himself as he climbs up the rankings. I believe now he'll be in the top 20 even if he loses this. So it's really a question of when you come out in this match today, the first couple of games, see if anyone's feeling a little bit more jittery. If someone can get an early break, it totally turn this thing around. How they're going to handle, if they're both going to serve volley on the first and second serve, they'll probably end up staying back on the second. So this is one of these matches that's going to be wait and see. Let's give us a couple minutes here to predict the winner. But if you want me to predict the winner now, I'm going to have to go with the champion, Pete Sampras. Well,
you don't do 6.
It's going to be 6-4 or closer in each set.
Well, they've played 10 sets against each other. 9 of the 10 have been at least 6-4. So you have an idea that whatever happens is going to go to that 1 break or perhaps a breaker. Stay with us. The match featuring the defending champ, Pete Sampras, and the youngster, Mark Philippoussis, to come. Stadium court where Pete Sampras has really pitched a tent here over the years of the U.S. Open. Sampras has not played a match outside of Stadium Court since the 3rd round of the Open 4 years ago.
Well, the top draws play almost all their matches. From 1978 to 1992, I only played matches in Stadium or Grandstand, so it's not a big surprise for the top-ranked players to play in one of the 2 places. Pete now all of 25, 6-1, tip-top condition. Hasn't won a big one, but he still has an excellent record in '96, over $1 million already. And a fantastic record here. We saw his percentage, the best #1 of all time. Jimmy Szymanski from Venezuela in the 1st round, lucky loser. And Yuri Novak, hands full there in the 2nd round. And Alexander Volkov had that flight reservation. And Sampras too good. Here it is. His first serve percentage early is going to be telling.
What will be a good one for Philippoussis?
Anything over 60, he'll be in good shape.
Love 15.
That's exactly what Sampras wants. He wants to get an opportunity at some second serves early, not do too much on them, keep them nice and low, and force Philippoussis to come up with big volleys. Wasn't able to there.
Welcome to the match for Sampras.
15 all. Last year already
133.
52% Philippoussis served here at the Open last year. Down in Australia, 67%, and Wimbledon, 67%. That's first rate. That's nearly impossible, although, believe it or not, in Wimbledon, Sampras broke Philippoussis twice.
Which is why we mentioned their sets almost always go deep. There just are no breaks.
That's probably 2 of the 4 biggest servers in the game right here. Toss too low. Knocked Pete's racket down. He doesn't think it's funny. He's dead serious right now. 30. Well, you can see how important the first serve is. These 2 easy points first serve.
On the rebound.
And the two second serves he hit in, he's lost both points. Wouldn't it be something for Pete to get an early break here? He got a little bit lucky there because what he did was he just spin it in. 100 miles an hour is a spin for Philippoussis. And Sampras, unable to handle that topspin, hit it long.
It's just remarkable to me to watch Sampras return like that on a serve that is 134.
Well, there's an example where Philippoussis cannot take it for granted that he's going to win outright winners off the serve. I mean, Sampras literally just stuck his racket out. The ball came back. He overhit that forehand. Normally, early games are not that important, but in this case, this could be a set right here. He would have loved that forehand back.
Philippoussis, when they played last year here at the Open, was 93 in the world. This year, 37. Perhaps the most dangerous unseeded player.
Oh, without a doubt.
In a long time. Philippoussis, I guess he won it here 2 years ago as an unseeded.
Certainly in this year's draw.
Philippoussis holds his serve to start the match. John, thumbs down if you're ready. Thumbs up if you're John. No, he's Eddie. Way to go, Eddie! All right. Eddie Wynn flying the Fujifilm blimp tonight, giving us those great views of the U.S. Open. With those guys some name tags. Well, Sampras serving. Pete, #1 player, 3 straight years.
Well, it's all coming to an end if he loses this match, Dad.
And I should correct the ranking on Philippoussis, who's number 22 in the world, entering the Open. And this, I'm sure, will be the last time he plays here as an unseeded player.
Pete a little loose from the ground so far. I see this youngster will be 20 in November. Big guy, 6'4". Another tennis player living in Monte Carlo already. Gosh, unbelievable.
He didn't waste any time, did he?
Remember last year he lost 3rd round to Pete Sampras.
Probably just has a little timeshare.
He owns half the island already. Woodford was Mark Woodford, a good result first round. Woodford destroyed him the round after he had beaten Sampras. Andre Holhovsky, no problem there. And Cedric Pioline, who was the 16th seed, destroyed as well. Philippoussis, by the way, is still in the doubles in the quarterfinals with his partner Patrick Rafter, another young Aussie.
So Sampras holds for 1-all. John, let me ask you, because we talked about this last night during the doubles, how rare it is today for a top men's player to do both and to be alive in both, and how you might think that would affect Philippoussis.
Well, I think it's a very good idea for Philippoussis to do it. He's got to be careful early in his career because in matches like this it may cost him. But it's certainly going to help him volleying, for example, in returning. Because that linesman obviously didn't see that, sir. How could she?
Can't blame her. You should see
she was ducking to, protect herself.
The people up in the first 3 rows were ducking.
It was a 113-mile-an-hour double fault. Better take those glasses off. But you wonder, for example, Ted, having looking at his results, he had a couple close matches in doubles. If he has a schedule right where he plays, say, singles tonight, doubles the next day, it's sort of like a glorified practice session in his mind, and he'd love to do well because it's going to only help his singles.
You looked at it that way, didn't you?
Every now and then, though, it costs me. And this is what Philippoussis has got to be aware of. He's got to be very aware of his own fitness and how many matches he likes playing in a given tournament. If he's capable of playing 7 singles and 6 doubles, I think it would be an excellent idea for him to play both. Because whatever he does, don't play mixed. Meanwhile, Sampras, by the way, up love 30 is up 15-30. That Philippoussis ace.
First ace for Philippoussis. He's thrown in 3 doubles already.
That's unreturnable. There's just absolutely no one that could come close to that. That serve was hit out wide where you usually lose 5 to 10 miles per hour. Look at Philippoussis' motion. Not much of a knee bend, but at 6'4", I guess doesn't need to bend as much. At that angle up high.
Someday, somebody's going to stand back there and have a flak jacket on against this guy. Well, this is all his game. He's either an ace or a double.
4 doubles already in the second service game. First time he played, the first game against Piolini, he served 3 aces, 2 double faults, and an ace. That was the first game. Piolini never touched the ball. Sampras has a big chance here. Philippoussis is showing some signs of pressure at the moment. I should say feeling the pressure. His father, Nick Philippoussis, when they grew up, just said, Mark hit every serve as hard as he possibly can from a very young age, and if this is the result, I would recommend that to all youngsters. Not good with the first serve percentage so far. What Pete doesn't want to happen is what happened against Richard Krajicek at Wimbledon, where he had early chances and wasn't able to capitalize. And then Krajicek's confidence grew and he started serving like a madman himself. That's why it's important for Pete to get this early break if he can.
And he has a chance right here. Where he tried for that wide one again.
There it is.
So another double, 5 already for Philippoussis, and the first break. And what the tennis balls used in this match are going to be like after about 2 games? These guys whacking them?
Like MacGyver's pistol after a couple shots. Coming up after this match. Sampras throws in his first double.
Can they change tennis balls more frequently if there's cause, if they lose their life, if guys are smacking them around like this?
No, not if they lose the ball and someone doesn't return it from the stands, yes, but not because they're being hit too hard. Sampras not happy with that call. That was awful close there. Dan O'Connor is not going to overrule. Never a big overruler, and these guys are probably gun shy now that they got some cameras around that may do a better job than them.
Looks like that camera's opened up a whole new world in tennis.
We're making an argument for instant replay. Let's see if we can pick it up, well, from the other side. That's tough to call from there. I think we can be as definitive as that other camera. We'll get that next year.
Well, Agassi's already calling for replay. Now Sampras unhappy with the serve call.
This is exactly what Sampras wants. He'd be more than happy to trade ground strokes with Philippoussis. He's got more experience. He's quicker around the court. He's in better condition. I'd love to keep Philippoussis back there, although Philippoussis has had that big forehand. I don't think he's in the league of the Samprases of these world yet.
After their match last year here, Sampras said of Philippoussis, he said he doesn't play with a high level of percentage. Would you say that by this year, is that improved at all?
He's improved. I think Peter McNamara, who I mentioned in the opening, will help that. And playing a ton of matches and losing and hopefully learning from your losses. He's so young that it shouldn't affect him that much. They got a surprise there. Sampras still wins the game.
And he backs up his break by holding for 3-1.
You know, Ted, as much as they talk about Philippoussis, he's never won a pro tournament yet. So to expect him to come out here and take a look at their stadium records, that'll tell you who's favorite here.
The only other match for Philippoussis was the one with Sampras here last year.
It's hard to imagine that literally your first tournament would be the United States Open. But I suppose stranger things have happened. Well, here he took something off that serve and just came real close to the end. That's what you want to do. A lot easier angle the closer you are. Definitely a different light when you play at night. Certainly affecting Philippoussis, negatively at the moment. That and the fact he's playing Pete Sampras.
But John, now I would think Sampras might be effective. Is it tougher to see this rocket serve coming at you at night?
You know, you've asked me that a couple times, and I never thought that it really was. I thought the lights are excellent here. They're way up high above the court, so you don't have a problem looking into the lights. Bjorn Borg bitterly complained about playing at night. Really felt like it cost him that he didn't see the ball, but I thought that was, in all honesty, more psychological than anything else.
Philippoussis holds, but Sampras up a break in the first set. Stadium court, and Stadium court is packed to the very last row tonight. Gives you an idea of what the attraction with Cella's playing, and of course this long anticipated match. Long anticipated in this draw. These two guys can't seem to shake each other.
Played at Wimbledon, played the Australian Open last year here. Only in majors they played.
Now, what do you think the Sampras? How does he deal with that? Does it bother him that it seems like every time you go, you see this guy in your quarter at the draw?
Well, it's bum luck, basically. He said, I hope this guy gets seeded real soon. At least don't have to play him to the fourth round. This is, by the way, where he's playing him here. Originally, he was supposed to, in the original draw, before they redid the draw, he was supposed to play him in the third round. So
But you think once in a while you might wind up in the other half,
right,
through the luck, as you said.
And you'd think when they redid the draw that the odds would favor that, but it didn't. Good solid volley there by Pete Sampras. That's not as easy as it looks. 30-50. Philippoussis with the miss-hit return. Sampras coming in. It's not one you should miss, though. At the very least, just place it well like he did. Philippoussis had a guess, and he guessed wrong. 30. There's a case where Sampras was a little surprised that Philippoussis return came back. Wasn't prepared for that half volley. There's John Newcomb and Tony Roach. Davis Cup captain and coach now. And they've got a very promising player here.
There's the Sampras ace, his first.
I'm sure we'll hear from Newcomb shortly how he taught Philippoussis to serve. That's just a matter of time. Tony Roach, by the way, in my opinion, along with Stefan Edberg, the greatest backhand volleys of all time. Superb volley. Ouch.
Well, that sounded like it broke the ball.
Well, Pete made a mistake here. He just pushed this ball back. That's a tough shot. Toughest shot in men's tennis, in my opinion, that high backhand volley. But he gave Philippoussis plenty of time to line that one up and just crush it. A huge boost for Philippoussis if he could break Sampras and get back into this first set. He really doesn't look like he has his feet totally settled yet in this match. He really let that ball come to him. He didn't go after, and then he, the last split second, tried to hit a big forehand down the line. That's not going to work. That, however, will work.
Just rocket forehand.
Sampras hit what he thought was a reasonably good approach, but he gave Philippoussis time to run around that backhand. He's far more dangerous on that forehand side. I think he'd be better off just slicing it right down the line, force Philippoussis to hit that forehand on the run. With that grip, with the inside-out forehand. That depth.
You ever sit up here and watch this and say, I don't recognize this game?
I sit up here and say, thank God I'm up here. This is a different game than even 10 years ago. With all the racket technology, the power, the players are bigger, stronger, fitter. Served by Pete Sampras there. He throws in a 127-mile-per-hour ace. Number 2. You remember 20 years ago, before a football, 2 hours before a football game, hey, all right, steak and eggs, loads of heavy food. Well, they've gotten away from that in football as well as other sports. So these guys have better diets. They do more off-court training.
It's only up here that you have cheeseburgers and fries.
That's the beauty of this job. My buddy Vitas Carolinas taught me that. Come on. Hot dogs and burgers. Here's Ted's parents right there. Mother, I should say mother and first cousin, right?
So maybe
You're very religious.
More of a support
maybe he brought the priest knows some people here. Pete Sampras showed there that he's got a lot of power on that forehand side as well. He just beat Philippoussis with sheer power. Didn't have a lot of time to react, did he?
Goran Ivanisevic moving
for the Spaniard there, getting to the quarters. And Stefan Edberg, the old veteran, rolling on.
Ace Philippoussis. That's his third.
And we should congratulate Goran as well, his first ever quarterfinals here at the U.S. Open. And the farther he gets in the draw, the more dangerous he gets, because he has good success against the top-rated players.
And another ace, so 4 of them now for Philippoussis. It's still Sampras up a break in the first set. To serve, well, here's how Cedric Keeling tried it on Sunday.
That was about as good as he did the other way.
You know, you ride the 7 train out here. You see Keeling's baseball attempts. You take the subway out here, and the 7 train, which is the train that runs to the tennis center, I get down there and I'm just really trying to focus on, relaxing a little bit, getting away from tennis. It's now 30 love for Sampras. And I look up there and all I see is John McEnroe. The entire 7 train is John McEnroe, wall to wall, commenting on how to play Pete Sampras, how to play Jim Courier, how to play Michael Stiek. But there's nowhere up there. I kept waiting to see John McEnroe on how to return Mark Philippoussis' serve.
There is no way he's serving well. You know, Nike bought the entire New York subway system.
You told me.
not just the billboards, the subways themselves. That's how well they're doing.
I must admit, it's a nightmare face of yours.
Well, hey, come on, Ted. We got a couple days to go here. You work for the San Francisco Giants, in case you forgot.
And it had to be a face when you were scowling at an umpire. That's what they couldn't. 5-3 Sampras here in the first set.
I heard someone yell out, "Get the wooden rackets." I want to see some rallies here. So would Sampras. He'll be perfectly fine. Sit back there in the baseline and trade with Philippoussis. Pick his spots.
The luck of the draw puts similar types of players here tonight, big servers. Tomorrow night we get similar types as the slugging baseliners, Andre Agassi.
A lot of running tomorrow.
Yep.
Totally different story.
That'll be the feature match tomorrow night right here on USA.
Interesting to see how Agassi returned to Philippoussis' serve, the best returner in the game. And I think Pete Sampras is going to have something to say about that. The old Guillermo Vilas pass. Not much pace on it, extremely high, and then you look back and you go, wait a second, that ball just dropped in. There's Delana Mulcahy, Pete's girlfriend. See Guillermo Vilas is a couple rows behind Delana, by the way. He's the 1977 U.S. Open champion. The last year it was played on clay courts.
Well, now Pete Sampras has 3 set points.
So these double faults have really hurt Philippoussis' first set. Sampras has got the early edge, and he couldn't have asked for anything more. That's a great angle, though. Boy, that's a tough shot to hit from that position. I mean, look what the angle that he came up with here, well behind the baseline. This is when it really helps to be that big, but still, Pete Sampras is quick. He's showing that Australia is a distant memory at the moment.
And there's the break. And the set. Pete Sampras breaks Philippoussis twice to win the first set in a big way. A definitive first set for Pete Sampras. He broke Philippoussis twice. And that is a huge statement.
It sure is, I'll tell you. He's well in charge at the moment. Gets to serve first game of the second set. Put some more pressure on Philippoussis, and he is not looking relaxed at the moment.
Second serve.
Sampras has never lost a match at night here. He's 10-0. His biggest win came, the one that made him came under the lights.
Perfectly placed forehand right there.
It was here 6 years ago. Pete Sampras was a 19-year-old. And he got to the quarterfinals as the 12th seed. And he knocked out Ivan Lendl, ending Lendl's run of 8 straight years in the finals here.
That's an incredible run, though, I must say, as much as I hate to say it. That's unbelievable. 8 finals in a row. I don't know when that's going to be duplicated, if ever. Philippoussis' problem, pretty apparent. 39% first serve percentage that first set. And you asked if he could win matches without that serve. Well, this is pretty apparent against Sampras. He can't. And that's very poor for Mark. Twice as many errors as winners. And Pete loving every minute of it so far.
Just the second double thrown in by Sampras, but it came at 40 love. And the hold for Sampras to start the second. Pete Sampras winning the first set and holding to start the second set. Let's go down to Michael Barkan.
All right, Teddy, with Dennis Miller, and I'll tell you what, if Sampras' serve has a little kick on it, you're ducking for cover.
I know, man. I was thinking of wearing the hockey helmet in here tonight. Philippoussis, though, first time I've seen him, but you got to get that serve in once every time the comet Kohoutek is in the solar system.
What are you in town for?
I'm here to
That was good. That was good.
do the MTV awards. You see, he's freaking out. He's got Tony Roach, John Newcomb down here.
Well, the Davis Cup, guys, they're here to help him out.
If Olivia Newton-John was here, he'd be incontinent.
What are your thoughts on his serving? I mean,
I think he's 19, right? He's obviously going to be a big player, but right now I think, Sampras is taking 2-3 miles an hour off of what he's doing and keeping it in all the time. So, I guess on an on night he's impossible to beat, but...
Yeah, in fact, he set an open record for 137 miles an hour with the serve. Tell me about the MTV Awards quickly.
Whose record? Kim Warwick, fellow Australian. Oscar 10. All right. MTV Awards tomorrow night, Smashing Pumpkins. Oasis, who says they're the next Beatles. I'm thinking they're the next Badfinger. But so tune in, 8 o'clock, MTV.
All right. If you're not watching tennis, Ted, back to you.
Mel Sampras here with 2 break points.
I wanted that one back. I like the way Dennis Miller had this match all fair. Hey, he's 19. You got to get a serve in once in a while. That's pretty much the story, though. Got lucky there. That second serve didn't have a lot on it. That may turn out to be a big, big save, 15-40, if he can get his game together here. Sampras is playing it smart, though, not going for too much, hitting an extra topspin, keeping that ball deep. Philippoussis obviously over-anxious, going for too much, and he continues to do so. Another break point for Pete. Pete played a fine point. Philippoussis with that defensive lob that bounced just on the line. I thought he was going to be in trouble when Pete got it back, and he stayed back. And a little bit lucky when Sampras missed that approach. He should have been right in on that. Continuing to miss that first serve. And I heard Mark say it himself, you can see him pressing, and because he's pressing, he's not serving as hard. He's serving, for him, only in the low 120 area, which is a good 5 to 10 miles an hour slower than he's been. So he needs to find a way to relax here.
That's remarkable. 7 break points already. He can certainly save him, but I would imagine, John, that for a guy like Philippoussis, he must be just shaken by the fact somebody's even getting to this point against him.
He's not used to guys getting balls back consistently. He's going to breathe a big sigh of relief here if he holds. Beautiful day to be, beautiful night to play tennis. Couldn't be better. Virtually no wind, probably 70, 75 degrees.
It's a tough day, but a beautiful night.
Bit warm today. You saw Stefan, that great chairman. He was struggling there in the third set, but
there is the hold for Philippoussis. Watch him, John, and I can't help but think this is a Nolan Ryan. We'll get back to that in a second. First, let's tell you what's coming up tomorrow as the quarters continue. Steffi Graf leads it off at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. Michael Chang to follow with Javier Sanchez, then Martina Hingis and Jana Novotná. The day's schedule. And then tomorrow night, men's quarters, Tomas Muster, Andre Agassi at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. So a big day of tennis tomorrow. Quarters for both groups here on USA.
But he really is the Nolan Ryan of tennis.
It's a walk or strikeout.
If he's hot, no stopping him. If he's wild, then he can lose to anybody. Perfect placement on that second serve. Set up that inside-out forehand winner. Still got to make these shots, though. He gets there nice and early, prepares, plays it safe, goes behind Philippoussis. Very well done by Pete Sampras. Philippoussis cannot take that big a swing on Sampras' first serve. There's no way he's going to connect there. Once again, caught that serve late. Maybe on the forehand side he can get away with it, but not on the backhand. It's going to shorten that backswing. I think Pete was having a little bit of fun there. Didn't put anything on those shots, just was looking to keep it deep, get a maybe better feel than he already's got. Although he looks fine as far as I'm concerned.
Would he intentionally try to do that just to get a rally going?
Just to see if Philippoussis make another unforced error, maybe lose a little more confidence. Broke the string there on the first serve. Gonna have to switch rackets. Luckily it was not on a serve where it went in. That's like going for the second serve ace at 40 love. You try some things that you wouldn't normally do. You got bigger serve, you can afford to take some chances. It's got extremely tight, extremely heavy racket in the head, Pete Sampras.
We are on serve in the second. Sampras winning the first.
And we'll get you back to the Pete Sampras match in just a minute. Earlier today, the number 4 seed, Goran Ivanisevic, in action against Andre Medvedev. Ivanisevic, bad mood throughout, complaining about line calls constantly.
So many cripples here, only in the United States, man. The worst umpires, the worst everything.
Well, after splitting the first 2 sets, Ivanisevic seized control in the third. He just hits it harder and harder and harder. 51 winners today. Ivanisevic took the third 6-3. Fourth set went to a tiebreak. Ivanisevic leading 6 points to 2. And he closed it out 6-4, 3-6, 6-3, 7-6 to move into the quarterfinals. Alex Corretja on the top half of the draw awaits the winner of tonight's match between Pete Sampras and Mark Philippoussis. Ivanisevic to meet the man, Stefan Edberg. Right now, let's get you back to the stadium to Ted Robinson and John McEnroe.
Philippoussis serving at 15 all. Pete Sampras winning the first set with 2 breaks. We're on serve here in the second.
He does not need to go for that much there. And plus he let the ball drop way too low. You got to take that ball earlier. Sampras has time to prepare. Most of the time you can pick up where a guy's going to hit it. And it's just not a smart play. He's not thinking too clearly today so far. It's playing right into Sampras' hands, Ted.
Seems like his dad's advice of hit every serve as hard as you can carries over to the rest of his game.
It sure looks like it. Already 22 errors by Mark Philippoussis. Look at that. Well, what he wanted him to do, though, was to serve hard so that it would be easier for him to take something off. It's better to start hard and come back than it would be to suddenly say, okay, now pick it up, 10, 50 miles per hour. Now, Pete Sampras, 2 break points once again at 1-2 in the second set, dominating Philippoussis so far. Can't buy a first serve. Well, a rare point from the backcourt for Philippoussis. I don't think he's going to win this match doing that. But he saved another another break point. It's almost like set point right now for him.
I just can't believe the number of break points Sampras is getting.
Oh, what a return.
And the emotion.
He knows how big that break was. He's all over Philippoussis right now. Philippoussis, 129 miles per hour. Sampras with the return, an absolutely perfect passing shot, just clipping the top of the tape. And Pete knows that that is a huge break. This crowd is stunned right now at the domination of Pete Sampras.
The part of Sampras' game, it doesn't get enough credit, right?
Darn right it isn't. Look how well he runs down these balls, covering a lot of ground, forcing Philippoussis to hit one more shot, and it pays off. He is moving beautifully tonight. He's loving every minute of it right now, I'll tell you that. Philippoussis is starting to look bordering on it, a little embarrassed at the moment. Sampras giving a lesson in experience right now. Center court, U.S. Open.
Sampras again backs up that break with a hold. 4-1 in the second. You know, when you're king of the hill and some nude guy comes in and says, yeah, I'm going to knock you off that hill, you don't give it up too easy if you're a real champ. And Sampras tonight is showing he's a real champ.
This is textbook at the moment, I'll tell you. Philippoussis has got to get above 40%. He's still hovering 38, 39%. And that will not get the job done tonight. And these are the moments you dream about, being at the top of the hill, to show these guys who's boss. And when all cylinders are kicking, it's beautiful. Some nice touch there, trying to regroup. He is down only one break. Trying to be positive here in the second set. Philippoussis with that big backhand. Look how high Sampras had to hit that from above his shoulder, and then he hits a picture-perfect drop volley. If he can string a couple points together, you know, get some first serves in as he has this game so far, get himself some confidence. Maybe get his head back in the match. Maybe get lucky, break here before it's 2 sets, but at least be ready to play the third.
Philippoussis, 7 aces now for Philippoussis, and he holds. Well, with his serve, he should not be losing sets at 1 or 2. I mean, don't you think he's going to hold?
Well, that's just one break. 6-3 is one break. That's right. All it takes.
Plus, I'm saying, I mean, he's going to, with his serve, he's not going to get blown out of set.
You don't figure he's going to lose serve more than once a set. Actually, this first set was 2 breaks, wasn't it?
Right. First set was 2.
Sampras already broken 3 times here. Couldn't have placed that volley any better. Got down nice and low, just perfect technique there. Just trying to throw that stat out the window, every set being 6-4 or closer except one. Now already 1-6-3. Looking to win this set 6-3 at the worst. He holds here twice. That forehand is hot tonight, I'll tell you. There's Paul Anacone in the Nike hat, or one of the Nike hats, I should say. Todd Schneider works for him full-time, long-time ATP trainer. Great decision by Pete to pick Todd up, I'll tell you. It's really helped him. And Tom Gullickson, Davis Cup captain, sitting next to Paul. Tom Gullickson's wondering, God, why didn't I get Sampras to come to Czechoslovakia just for a couple matches?
You think that'll change next year, John? For Pete?
I sure hope so. I mean, I'd love to see Pete represent his country. I wish he'd been at the Olympics as well. He swore to me with a straight face that his Achilles was bothering him.
An injury that caused him to withdraw from the Olympics.
I said, come on, Pete. Don't feed me that line. I'm too old for that now. Maybe there was an excuse there, but certainly not in Davis Cup when he went and played the following week in Hong Kong for a ton of dough. Here's a rarity, a Philippoussis passing shot.
40-30.
As I said earlier, he's far more dangerous on this forehand side. Pete tried to fool him going behind him. Philippoussis really wasn't even moving to the backhand. He probably would have had an easy winner had he gone to Philippoussis' backhand. Philippoussis with that big swing dips it cross court for a winner. Oh, that's good.
What a terrific serve. 4 days for Sampras.
Sampras wins 5 games to 2.
Now they're jammed all the way up to the top of the stadium court to see Pete Sampras, the champ, Mark Philippoussis, the challenger. And thus far in this match, as it was in the first match, it has been the night for the champ. 8th ace for Philippoussis.
Philippoussis a little bit bigger than Monica Seles' opponent, Amanda Coates. She's a hustler.
Philippoussis has kind of a Becker-like build, doesn't he?
Yeah, more of that middle linebacker type. Not extremely quick around the court, but he doesn't have to be if he can place that serve well enough, hit those big forehands, but he wouldn't mind improving athletically a little bit. Can't hurt. He doesn't dive the way Becker did. I tell you, Becker was unbelievable at that.
On this surface, I used to cringe watching him dive on this
I tell you, that's not a recommended play. And I've heard that a couple weeks ago, Boris has started training again, so hopefully the men's tour will see him back soon.
We missed him this year here.
As well as Jim Curry. I hope to see him back soon. Knee problem. Much concern there.
9th ace for Philippoussis, so he holds. And now we'll take one more crack here, preventing Sampras from a 2-set lead. Sampras has only lost 4 points on his serve in this set.
That'll work. That's the worst serve he's hit today, right there. Hit the baseline. That ball dropped real low. Well, that's a good try by Philippoussis. Put some pressure on Sampras. Make him come up with a pass. That's just too good. I'd like to stick that with a little bit more zip, maybe a little bit deeper, but the right idea. You saw that ball skid. Sampras stayed down nice and low on that pass. He's just playing at another level than Philippoussis at the moment. Philippoussis has seemed to settle down a little bit on the serve the last couple service games, which may help him in this 3rd set, but Pete up a quick 2 sets to love after only 1 hour and 5 minutes of play. I shouldn't say quite yet, but jumping the gun slightly here at 30 love, 5-3. Something's going on way up in the stands. I don't know what it is.
giddiness in the upper level in the corner.
I want some action up there. Oh, it's a bird, Ted, the old bird.
It's probably it's a bat. There you go. I think that's the first time I've seen that here.
Well, they gave Peter first serve. As long as the bat doesn't come our way, Ted, we're all right. We can laugh about it here.
I have a lot of experience in dealing with
A lot of ducking spectators at the moment.
Well, we are in New York City and a beautiful night, a jam-packed house here on Stadium Court. Monica Seles has already won her match, and Pete Sampras, the defending champ, now with 3 set points to take a 2-set lead on Mark Philippoussis.
He's on a roll. He doesn't want to stop playing. A rare unforced error off the Sampras racket. Still got 2 more set points to go up 2 sets to love. Looking for Sampras' serve. Maybe looking for Philippoussis' serve, I should say.
If you're sitting down by the court, you better keep your eye on this match.
I mean, where is his serve? Serving about 40% for this match. Well, 2 set point save, a glimmer of hope for the young Australian. Let's see if he can pull a rabbit out of the hat.
And Sampras, meanwhile, is going to try to pull a big serve out of his pocket right here. Philippoussis put one right on the baseline and then the winner.
I think it surprised Pete. It looked like it might have been going a little bit long. Sampras hesitated ever so slightly. It did bounce just inside the line, and then Philippoussis ripped his backhand. He hasn't had much success so far, but 3 straight points back to deuce. Easy for me to say, I know, but once again got over anxious. Sampras played just a smart, intelligent point.
And that was the Sampras line from last year. Not a high percentage play by Philippoussis.
That's exactly what that was. Went way too much, got impatient, and it cost him. Oh!
Sampras wins the second set. Pete Sampras, 6-3, 6-3. As the creatures of the night visit the U.S. Open. Well, Pete Sampras playing the young gunslinger whose reputation has preceded him. Sampras tonight seems determined to put on a little clinic and show the youngster that he is still the boss. And he's done it for 2 sets.
Philippoussis, at least the last couple games, has seemed more settled, more into the match, competing a little better. Get that first serve percentage up, start putting a little pressure on Sampras. Maybe he can make a match of this.
Mark Philippoussis has never played a 5-set match.
Well, the good news is he's never lost one. So there's something to be positive about.
Sometimes it's better when you don't know it, what it's like.
He wanted that ace to get a little momentum. 3 straight. Went for the big one. Still up 40 love.
Aces now for Philippoussis, and he starts the third. Gets underway at Stadium Court here, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Steffi Graf against Judith Wiesner. Women's quarters, Michael Chang in his men's quarter against Javier Sanchez. And then Yana Novotna meets 15-year-old Martina Hingis. And tomorrow night, under the lights, Tomas Muster and Andre Agassi. There might be just a slight bit of pace on the ball tomorrow night.
Off the ground, that is. Neither player considered a big server by these standards, but Muster has improved his serve quite a bit, winning some freebies, and Andre can hit the big one at times as well. And that's proof right there at 100 miles per hour that placement is as critical, if not more, than power.
7 aces for Sampras.
Philippoussis definitely looks more comfortable out there now. The problem, he's down 2 sets to love. See Philippoussis a little bit higher now, 44%. Pete's still pretty low, 45%. But Pete had a better ratio there, winners unforced errors. I mean, on paper there, it doesn't look like either player is playing particularly well, but I'd have to say Sampras looks to be on his game tonight. Sometimes stats a little bit misleading.
I think the first serve would be the only thing to say with Sampras.
He really hasn't been that close to losing the serve. 1 or 2 chances for Philippoussis here. Back to deuce here. Second game of the 3rd set. We did get back to deuce the previous time. Pete served as well, but Pete served it out for 2 sets lead.
I don't believe Philippoussis has had a break point tonight.
I think he had 1 early on. Any word if Philippoussis had a break point? None. You were right. None at all. I was just hoping for a closer match. USA.
We're 1-all. 3rd set. 1-1. When you see Philippoussis serve, John, is this someone down the road, a huge server like this, are you vulnerable to a shoulder going out on you?
It seems like you got to be, but it seems like a pretty natural, relaxed motion. His father, Nick, we talked about, had him serving hard at a young age, which I think helps him, because he's used to that feeling in the shoulder, but that's a tough one to call. It looks like it's no big deal for him to serve this hard. I remember looking at Stefan Edberg in the mid-'80s. Let's take a look at Philippoussis' motion first. Pretty straight ahead, unlike Edberg's, for example. A good low return. He's got that American twitch where I remember a lot of top players, myself including, Connors and Lendls, thinking, God, this guy's going to have a bad back soon.
Right. Edberg.
And meanwhile, Edberg's played 54 straight Grand Slam events. There's a gimme for Pete Sampras. That was what you call a little early Christmas gift from Philippoussis. Hits the huge serve, 131. Pete barely gets it back, but tries to crush that backhand, misses it long. Better be careful here, 15-30. He loses his serve early in this third set. This could be an early night for Pete Sampras and Mark Philippoussis. That's one of the worst shots Pete's hit tonight. Try to guide that one a little bit. Got a little bit tentative. Even the greats get tentative sometimes. Pete human like the rest of us. That toss well in front of him, way too low there. Show a little experience, maybe just catch that ball, regroup, and throw that toss higher. Steady waste of the first serve. Dump the forehand there. Now is a break point. Big, big point here. Look at that. You pointed that out. Already 10 chances. Number 11 coming up. Oh!
Too good. And he breaks Philippoussis early in the third. Back on Stadium Court, Pete Sampras up a break in the third set. And
the lesson continues.
Yep, he's administering right now a good old scientific pounding to Mark Philippoussis. Let's go to Michael Barkan.
All right, Ted, with Nuke. This was a much anticipated matchup here, and it certainly is not coming out that way on the court. Is it all emotional on Mark's part? How do you assess this?
Well, you've got the #1 player in the world out there who's playing this as if it's a final. I mean, you've never seen Pete so excited in a round of 16 when he got the first break in the first set. So Pete's played a great match so far, and Mark, I think, came out trying to serve too well. He started coming out trying to play too well, making mistakes, and at the moment, you know, we'd like to see Mark move in a little bit and play a little closer to the baseline and the baseline rallies, because when they get into a rally, Pete's sort of just getting the ball back nice and deep, floating them deep, and saying to Mark, okay, see if you can hit a winner, and Mark's buying it.
How much of it is a confidence problem as we go deeper into the match?
You got a 19-year-old guy who's in his second year on the circuit, and you got the #1 player in the world up there who hasn't won a Grand Slam tournament this year. And Pete wants this tournament, you know, really badly. So when a #1 player in the world's got his back to the wall, you're going to see the best come out, and that's what you're seeing tonight from Pete.
Can Mark focus and get the serve working for him? It's got the speed, obviously, but you got to get it in once in a while.
Yeah, he's been over-serving from the start of the match, and once Pete got on top of him, he hasn't let him get back into the match so far. But it's Mark's tactics, really, that needed to change, and they probably needed to change in the second set. It might have flown by now for him.
As you grab him for Davis Cup, anything you want to work on that makes him more consistent?
Well, you know, it's obvious with a player like Mark. I mean, he's got such power off the ground, and players are gradually going to play him more and more the way Pete's playing him. Pete played him man for man in the Australian Open and tried to match it with him, and, you know, Mark just loved it. It played right into his groove. So I think we'll see Mark, as he develops, he'll have to develop different styles of games rather than just going and hitting as he did against Piolín when everything came off great, and then he blew him off the court. But, you know, Sampras has thought obviously a lot about how to play against Philippoussis, and you know, Mark's going to have to come to grips with it.
All right, Nuke. Thanks a lot. Ted, back to you.
We're at deuce here, at 2-1 in the third.
Philippoussis fighting hard here at deuce. Nuke made a couple of good points. One being that Sampras feels his back is against the wall. He hasn't won a major, and we pointed out, if he doesn't win one now, he's not going to be #1. This U.S. Open is it for him. Not happy with that call there.
But I think what I read in Newcomb's comments also, the champion's pride, and Sampras has won 7 majors. Philippoussis hasn't won anything.
Philippoussis never won a tournament, right? Sure gave Philippoussis a chance there, and this is a huge opportunity now for Mark. Break point. Finally, first break point of the match. It had to be when Pete went right back to him. But he did come up with the pass. We'll see if he can get himself back into this match. experience right there, Ted, going for that much. You heard Nuke say also he wanted Philippoussis to stand in a little bit closer. He certainly tried to take that serve early. Pete had that kick working. He put a little bit extra on it. That was a 100-mile-per-hour second serve. You can't afford to go for so much there. Showing some nerves once again. Pete quickly rights himself, gets back to add, and a point for 3-1. It didn't take long. That's where you got to make any player, whether he's number 1 or number 1,000, play that break point volley. Oh! By far the best game Philippoussis has played on the Sampras serve. Come up with some big passing shots, good power off the ground. He's got Sampras stretching and guessing a little bit.
Doesn't seem like Pete's getting, still not getting those big first serves in.
Well, he showed his first serve percentage lower than he'd like as well.
You say that, he got one.
Yeah, that was the old... usually you say, God, the guy's serving Grady doubles there.
If only we had that much power.
And Philippoussis has got to learn there to keep his elbow closer to his body. His elbow got well out in front of him, and it's very tough to control a pass. He ended up taking that racket back twice there. You only want to do it once. Once again, he was pressing, trying to put a little bit extra on that pass. He caught that way too late.
Opportunity lost for Philippoussis, and there may not be many more. Tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, Tomas Muster, the number 3 seed, still with a chance to be the number 1 player in the world at year's end, and he will meet Andre Agassi in what should be a great night of quarterfinals tennis. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific.
We talked about Chang, Ivanisevic, Sampras, and Tomas Muster have a shot at being number 1. Andre Agassi still has a shot at being the number 1 ranked player in the world. If he were to win here, this tournament, he won't be ranked number 1 right after the event, but he didn't play. He only played 1 or 2 matches the rest of the year last year, so if he played a pretty busy schedule, won the Masters, say, still possible for him. Some nice touch today, Philippoussis. That's the 3rd or 4th drop volley he's hit. 30 nice drop shot as well. In addition to power, he does have some nice hands. No chance there for Sampras, as quick as he is. Going long, but he got the ace.
13 for Philippoussis. And 14, which gives him the hold. Still a break for Sampras. Sampras up 2 sets and a break. He has been clearly, as we referred to him, and I think John Newcomb mentioned it, he's been the world number 1 tonight. Focused and playing like it.
Well, Pete hit an out ball there, but it didn't matter. Put away the volley.
I notice your eyes kind of light up when you see a guy play as well as Sampras is playing tonight.
This is when the sport is fun, when you see guys play up to their abilities. I'd love to see Philippoussis play a little bit better, really make a match of this, but at the moment, Pete having none of it. I don't want to see Sampras' game come down. I want to see Philippoussis' game come up. At the moment, looks like Pete is on his way to a quarterfinal encounter with the clay court specialist, Alex Korejchuk. Remember, he had that great 5-setter a year ago against Andre Agassi. And he's showing he can play in the hard courts. Good effort by Alex. He just doesn't cover the court well enough to try to get into an exchange with Sampras.
So Philippoussis is going to have to reach deep to find a way to get one more shot at breaking. He lost a good chance. His only break point opportunity in Sampras' last service game.
Well, he had that second serve and just went for that big forehand, dumped it in the middle of the net. Wrong that time.
At least 5-6 feet behind the baseline.
He had absolutely a great forehand to win this point here. You're right. Look how far back behind the baseline he is. Goes for broke. Bad news for Philippoussis. He's still down 40-15 after that effort.
So it is 4-2 Sampras in the third. Young man whose father moved to Melbourne in 1972 because that city has the largest Greek population in the world outside of Athens. And
Pete Sampras also of Greek descent, so this is...
in Melbourne, Sampras was one of the great, most popular players until this young fellow came along.
That's only ace number 15 for Mark Philippoussis. He served 44 aces in 2 sets last year in Kuala Lumpur. 2 sets against Byron Black, 7-6, 7-5, 44 aces. That record will be tough to break, I'll tell you.
11 games. Do you think Philippoussis even cares about the returner, or is he just serving to get it in?
No, I think he cares about the returner. I mean, when you're playing the #1 player in the world, you better not treat it the same as the number 100.
Or is he just not rearing back and hitting it, and if it goes in, he's going to have...
No, he does that. He does that all the time for the most part anyway, but he's done better recently, and that's why his ranking's gone up, mixing things up. Sampras really knifed that backhand return. What you got to worry about is maybe taking a little bit off the big serve. This isn't a show out here. This is a tennis match, and there's one winner and one loser. It's not an exhibition.
So the hole for Philippoussis. 4-3 Sampras in the third. Sampras, 2 games away from advancing to the quarterfinals. 15 love.
See how well Sampras stopped there. He stopped very quickly, gave himself plenty of time, didn't overhit that ball. And had to be strong in the legs and fit to be able to do something like that. And Pete works awfully hard off the court as well as on the court.
Well, this was a night when many came hoping to see a big struggle and a good fight between.
Well, they saw it. They're seeing a struggle. Except it's only one player.
Right. I guess what I'm getting to is that they're disappointed. Sampras doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
He is just.
Matter of fact, he's thrilled right now.
He has played exceptional tennis.
He's going to walk out with his head high today. I'll tell you, he showed not only Philippoussis some, but some other players that are still left in this draw that he's playing at the top of his game.
They were hoping there was going to be a Yuri Novak.
That's what I was saying. He looked a little fatigued against Novak there and was certainly struggling, but he's gotten rid of that negative energy.
I wonder, John, if tomorrow and Thursday the night matches won't be a little bit easier for the guys. I mean, it's supposed to be pretty warm and steamy here in the next 2 days.
This is perfect. It's warm, but I'll tell you, without that sun, no wind, couldn't ask for better. Certainly Mooster, the fitter guy, but Agassi's got the angles down better and knows how to play on these hard courts better than Mooster. Paul may have caught the back of the line, but not much more than that. Mooster also suffering from some food poisoning yesterday. Still managed to beat Tomas Enquist. Now there's a guy with some guts.
Well, that's a good win on hard court for Mooster.
I tell you, Enquist is dangerous, and Brad Gilbert and Andre Agassi, they're not all that depressed that they're playing Tomas Mooster there. We'll see if Mooster can stand in a little bit closer himself when they play, take the ball a little bit earlier, because otherwise Agassi will try to pull him side to side on a string if he can. Try to wear Mooster down in that way. Mooster will be trying to win some 3 points on that first serve and just try to win that one on just sheer guts, determination, and fitness. Pete would have loved to end this with a flourish, break Philippoussis' serve again, but it looks now like he's at least going to have to come out one more time and serve it out.
17th ace for Philippoussis, but the aces are on the brink of going for 9. Sampras has felt the thrill 3 times of lifting that hardware, and he's now 3 points from being in the quarters this year.
Knows that one wide.
And this is one that, if indeed Sampras finishes, will go under the category of not as close as the score indicates.
The category of whipping. This is what it goes
is.
under.
This has been. There's never been a moment in this match where you thought Philippoussis, really from the first game.
Yeah, there's a couple chances where it appeared he might get himself into the match,
right,
but never a point where you felt like Philippoussis had any real chance of winning. When you serve 6 double faults the first 2 service games, that's sending a bad message. Now Pete Sampras, 1 hour and 44 minutes later, about to wrap up a routine, believe it or not, 3-set winner.
Watching that ball even blowing on it to help him go wide. And Pete Sampras dispatches the young gunslinger. Mark Philippoussis is out, and Sampras is into the corners. And I would have to think he's going to allow himself to feel good about this one for a few minutes.
Oh, he's feeling real good. He's loving this. This is just what the doctor ordered for Pete Sampras. All cylinders in gear. Next up, Alex Correia in the quarterfinals, he's got a 2-0 record against Lifetime. Both wins on clay, by the way. So that's a heavy, heavy favorite for Sampras there. We go down, Ivanisevic, Edberg should be awful interesting. I believe Stefan with the slight edge at 8-7, or 9-8 actually, and Stefan has won the last 3 times they played. Tomorrow night, we look forward to seeing Tomas Muster and Andre Agassi. That should be a slugfest from the baseline, and great effort for Javier Sanchez to get to the quarters, but things looking bleak, I think, tomorrow against the Roadrunner, Michael Chang.
Now, barring a major upset, you're going to have 4 seeded men in the semifinals.
It sure looks like Chang in the semis, Pete Sampras, most likely Andre Agassi, and either Goran Ivanisevic or possibly unseeded and former champion Stefan Edbergs.
All right, let's go down to Michael Barkan.
All right, Teddy, with Mark Philippoussis, the gun misfired somewhat tonight. Much anticipated matchup, but you had trouble getting that serve in.
Yeah, I didn't have the rhythm today, but I think I was maybe trying to go for a bit too much. And I kind of rushed everything and I lost my rhythm instead of just getting into the match. But you know, it's a bit unfortunate, but it was a good tournament.
Did you sense things getting out of control right from the start, or did you think you could reel it back in?
No, I mean, I've got to learn how to reel it back in, but I did feel it going bad at the start. You know, I missed a lot of first serves even in the first game, and I was struggling. You know, 4 double faults to lose the second game, and I mean, you can't do that against Pete Sampras.
48% of your serves in, that's well below what you want to do. How much of a setback is this for you? Is it a setback or is it a little road bump? How do you look at it?
I mean, it's no setback. It's definitely a road bump. I mean, I've got plenty of years ahead of me. I'm going to take this as another big experience. You know, I'm going to go out there. I mean, it's my second US Open. Hopefully I'm going to play many more. So, you know, I'll just look up for the next one.
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot. Ted, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks. Remember, that young man in the next rank to come out is going to be in the top 20 in the world. He's young, but tonight he got taught a severe lesson by the 3-time champ Pete Sampras, who's in the quarterfinals.